Erika, Grace and I will support you and your babies the way you and Charlie were there for us in our darkest days. Charlie, we will miss your words of wisdom, your high-pitched laugh. It was kind of awkward.
Turning Point USA is continuing, and it is. I mean, we are so blessed to have more work than we even could ever dream of. I mean, it's
the devastating loss of Charlie Kirk, my incredible husband at UVU. Caleb has persisted with the same grift.
As if one fake crying Erika Kirk wasn't already insulting enough, now we find out she's got another blonde, creepy-eyed, professional tear wiper as her handler. Her name is Stacey Sheridan. And if you pay attention to Erika's public appearances since Charlie's death, you'll notice that Stacey is always by her side. Even at Charlie's Medal of Honor ceremony, Erika wasn't standing next to Charlie's grieving parents. Instead, it was Stacey glued to her side. So, who is this woman, and why are people saying she's actually worse than Erika? Well, here's what Puza insiders are saying. Stacey is reportedly known behind the scenes as the grifter chief. Why? Because she allegedly siphoned millions of dollars out of Turning Point USA through a web of shady companies tied back to her. Stacey was listed as a senior advancement director at Turning Point USA, but her title kept quietly changing, and now she's listed as senior director of development. Either way, what this really means is that Stacey brings wealthy donors on board to Puza and earns huge cuts and commissions for doing so. But that's really just the tip of the iceberg. Once you start looking into Stacey, there's so much creepy stuff that comes up that it ends up making Erika look innocent by comparison. And that's saying something.
His naive audaciousness. Yes, technically, Charlie was my boss, but it really never felt that way.
Do you see anything wrong with this photo? There is a noticeable gap between Erika Kirk and Charlie's parents during the Presidential Medal of Freedom ceremony. Why aren't they consoling each other? Instead, you have Stacey Sheridan holding Erika. This screams PR move and not grief from Erika, while Charlie's parents are the only ones who look genuinely devastated. And then here's Stacey again sitting next to Erika in the car on their way to speak at Charlie's memorial.
Love you, Erika. Charlie, 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 Charlie. Love you, Erika. Charlie, Charlie, Charlie.
But if you thought Erika's acting skills were cringe, just wait until you see Stacey. She honestly gives Erika a run for her money when it comes to wiping non-existent tears. At least Erika had the decency to bring a handkerchief as a prop. Stacey doesn't even bother. There was a moment when Stacey spoke at Charlie's memorial where she did this quick little gesture like she's wiping away a tear, except there's clearly nothing there.
Charlie, we will miss your words of wisdom, your high-pitched laugh. It was kind of awkward. And the way your voice would always soften when you spoke to Erika and your children.
But that's not even the worst part about Stacey's speech. This was supposed to be an eulogy, but let's dissect what Stacey actually said.
This is Stacey Sheridan. 8 years ago, I met Charlie in a crowded ballroom in West Palm Beach at a David Horowitz Freedom Center event.
I met him at a very important big donor event. Name drop David Horowitz, of course. And it was in Palm Beach of all places, but don't think much of it, just a coincidence. And then Stacey immediately points out that she didn't think much of Charlie at first.
We spoke briefly, we exchanged cards, and I thought nothing of it.
Okay, that's an interesting way to start a eulogy. And then Stacey says Charlie went on a quest to hire her, and what finally convinced her, how naive he was. Let that sink in.
Ultimately, made me want to join Charlie's cause and Charlie's team because he began a quest to hire me after meeting me. I was reluctant at first, but it was his naive audaciousness to change the world that ultimately sold.
Now this next part is equally wild because Stacey goes on to talk about how, yeah, technically Charlie was her boss, cue the grimacing little smile, but she always thought of him as her little brother.
Yes, technically, Charlie was my boss, but it really never felt that way. Far more than my boss, I felt like he was my little brother.
I'm sorry, what? With employees like this, who needs enemies? But it gets worse. Remember I mentioned earlier that staff at Tpuza allegedly call Stacey Sheridan grifter-in-chief? Well, wouldn't it be wild if I told you that Stacey was pulling in about $180,000 a year as a senior advancement director, you know, the person whose job is to raise money for Turning Point USA while also owning multiple entities that were bringing in millions for her personally. And imagine this, Stacey shows up on a Form 990 as a key employee, but then suddenly she doesn't and she's missing from the other 990 altogether. But here's the thing, she still shows up on the website in the Wayback Machine. So what does this mean? It means they quietly scrubbed her off the site so nobody would notice. According to research by user at Dangster Intel on X, Stacey is getting paid as an employee while also being quietly hidden as an employee. And on top of that, she's taking a commission on every single fundraiser she brings in through her own companies. This is what you call triple dipping. Here's how the game works. Stacey's hired as a fundraiser. She's on a salary. Already one stream of income. Then she goes and sets up her own LLCs, multiple ones, Cloverstone Ventures, Lion Rock Ventures, GSM Strategies, too many to name. And then suddenly the money that's being raised for Turning Point USA is being routed through Stacey's companies. And what happens next? She takes a cut. We're talking commissions in the hundreds of thousands. 500K. Here 100K there. And before you know it, it adds up to millions of dollars.
Actually raising money as a fundraiser hired by the company, being paid a salary, and then she creates an LLC. She's got Cloverstone Ventures, Lion Rock Ventures, GSM Strategies, and she's taking money, millions of dollars for Turning Point USA. She's filtering it through her company, taking a commission in the $500,000 range and the $100,000 range.
Think about how insane that is. Stacey is literally taking a commission off the very job she's already being paid a salary to do using her own personally interested LLC. And she's not even filling out the proper paperwork to disclose it. Because here's the thing, there are required forms for this. Schedule L, Schedule G. Stuff is supposed to be clearly spelled out on the 990.so. Donors know what's happening. The IRS knows what's happening. And there's transparency. Instead, the information is being hidden. You have to ask yourself, why would Stacey Sheridan come in, do all of this, and then go out of her way to hide it? Why be listed on the website at all, and then suddenly get taken off the website? Doesn't that strike you as a little shady? You can't even find her anymore unless you already know her name and specifically search for it. It's not normal. Is listed as a senior advancement director, a senior developer. The title changes all the time. You can see it all over the website history. And yet somehow she's nowhere to be found on the Form 990s where she absolutely should be disclosed. Let you decide what that means. But looking at all of this together, this is some pretty damning information. And this of course raises serious questions about that internal Tpuza audit Charlie wanted to do. Candace Owens discovered that just days before he was assassinated, Charlie sent an internal memo to his employees announcing an audit of Tpuza. In other words, he was asking for a full financial review, exactly where all the money was going and who was actually getting it.
And there arrived a moment when Charlie felt that the money was disappearing. He felt that, again, according to sources, that the company was burning through cash too quickly, and Charlie set about finding out why and how this was happening.
Candace even obtained a screenshot of Charlie's memo dated September 2nd, where he directed staff to get serious about the organization's finances and tighten things up.
On September 2nd, which is, of course, just 1 week before he lost his life, Charlie surprised the company by announcing that he was putting together a Doge department. There's a lot of pork. We don't know where this money is going. People are just accepting checks. Again, this is the whole purpose of the Department of Doge. You put us in there, and we're going to figure out how all of these bureaucrats are just wasting tax dollars. Really kind of a nice way of saying we're going to conduct an audit of the government, right? That's the only way to look at what Doge was. It's an audit, and then you cut the fat and you see where the money's actually going.
So it's clear he was taking steps to get a full handle on where Turning Point USA was actually going. And he wasn't just making casual suggestions, actually started putting systems in place to make sure donors' money was being used properly. And then you look at Stacey Sheridan. This is the same woman who claimed she never thought of Charlie as her boss, but as her little brother, all while allegedly funneling millions of dollars through her own companies and shady donor schemes. And now she's always there right by Erika's side, acting like her handler. What's really going on here? You start to connect the dots, and it gets uncomfortable fast. Remember when Erika accidentally said grift instead of grit? That slip of the tongue suddenly feels less like a mistake and more like the only moment Erika actually told the truth.
Caleb has persisted with the same gift.